This exhibition is the artwork that came out of my fieldwork project in Northern Ireland. An opportunity to bring my interest in art and museums together with my interest in peace and conflict education. Northern Ireland is in this time of transition. It's still a society trying to figure out its story. In a very short period of time, they have come a long way. And when people say, oh, but you know the troubles and the violence, and isn't it still? And I'm like, well, let's see. In that same 40 years, we went from Martin Luther King to electing Barack Obama president. So what makes us so special that somebody else can't have that kind of monumental societal change in 40 years? There are young people growing up now who have never experienced direct violence, and so have grown up in a very different Northern Ireland than their grandparents' generation, and even their parents' generation. A lot of families, with the best of intentions, think that if they don't talk to their children about what they experienced, they won't inherit the sectarianism, that religious intolerance that they grew up with. If they do hear the stories, they only hear the stories from one community, one religious community, only the Catholic story, or only the Protestant story. So the group that I ended up working with, not only was I bringing together Protestants and Catholics, also of different generations. The storytelling was both ways. Everybody heard each other's stories. The young people needed to hear those stories. And the older people needed to hear what the young people's lives were like. The young people were taking the oral histories, the stories that they heard, and visually interpreting them.
I think there's something very experiential that happens when you ask people to assign symbols to their experiences. And when you're asking one group to assign symbols to another experience, you can definitely see sort of the value that could have emotionally.
Nuala, who's Catholic, partnered with Norma, a social worker, in Portadown during the Troubles. Norma's job as a Protestant working for the state was to go into Catholic homes for the people who lived in what they call the housing estates, what we would call the projects, and evaluate these people. Norma was very aware of this tension around her going into these homes uninvited. Yet, these women always offered her a cup of tea in a china cup. So they turned around that whole relationship purely by giving her the tea in a cup. Nuala takes this one step further. So she went out to charity shops, secondhand shops, and she bought these cups and she broke them. She made them dirty and she broke them and she put them back together with Band-Aids, with wire, with tape, with string, in some cases with glue. And she wanted to look at the fragility as well as the resilience of people coming out of this period, out of this trauma, out of any trauma. But she was also looking at the idea of an heirloom. We pass on valuable things, but we also pass on not so great things like sectarianism, like bias, racism, religious intolerance. And so she's looking at all of these things with these cups, and it came out of a story that Norma told her.
Here at CUNY, it's very important that we reach as many diverse audiences as we possibly can. I think that's the role of art. And as a curator, I think it's extremely important to seek out exhibitions and people and places and art that really kind of changes the way that people see things. That it's even more important for people and artists and writers, everyone to kind of reach out and say, what can I do to make this the world that I want to live in?